Hello, discographers. Today we're going to look at that naive, innocent little wooden head, Pinocchio. The perfect lie detector with no strings attached. Who brought voice to this perfect little angel? Well, almost perfect. Let's find out. Dickie Jones, or Dick Jones, was born in 1927 in Snyder, Texas. His father worked as a newspaper editor, and by the age of 4, Jones was already riding horses and billed as the youngest trick rider and roper. When he turned 6, he got hired to perform live, riding and doing tricks in a rodeo owned by a Western star named Hoot Gibson.
I was working the Dallas Centennial Rodeo contract act, celebrity act, whatever you want to call it. And I was trick riding on this big black horse, and I did a fender drag, and I'm on the side of the horse on the inside of the arena. I would go around like that, and then I pop up at the end of it, and ta-da, I'm there. And Hoot Gibson, who was the star of that show, the contract act, he looked at that, and my mother happened to be standing there, and he says, "That kid ought to be in movies." And my mother says, "Whoopee," and away we went to Hollywood.
During the mid-1930s, Dickie immediately began appearing in films. First, in unbilled bits in Our Gang comedies. And later bigger roles in Republic serials like Blake of Scotland Yard, and finally in major films like The Black Legion, working with Humphrey Bogart and Ann Sheridan.
Solidarity and expert advice on the subject of protecting his job. We, the challengers, are organized to provide just that solidarity and expert advice. Ours is an organization in which it might be said, if we did not exist, it would be necessary.
Listen to this guy, he's talking sense.
It is also an organization of which it might be said, he who is not with us is against us.
He even appeared in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington as a Senate page boy.
Jimmy Stewart was a great guy to work with. I can't remember whether I worked Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with him first or Desi Rides Again first. They were both in the same year, but I forgot. But he was a great guy to work with, and every time we saw him at church, he'd say, "Hi, Dick, how you doing?" And I really admired him as an actor. But the thing that got me was they built the Senate, the inside of the Senate, on the stage there at Columbia. And being a page, we had to sit on the stairs leading up to the podium. And I remember this carpeting. And then just a couple of years ago, my daughter, my youngest daughter, took us on a tour of Washington, D.C., and we got into the Senate. And the first thing I noticed was it's the same damn carpeting that they had in the movie. Believe it or not.
Detail. Yeah.
Believe it or not. Save the taxpayers a lot of money.
This same year, he appeared in Destroy Rides Again, working again with James Stewart. But of course, his breakout film was in 1940. At 13 years old, he played the title character in a little film called Pinocchio.
I just know that I was called for an interview, a voice interview. And the story goes that they started testing adults that could carry the burden of the show. And they were imitating little boys. And Walt says, no, I want a real little boy. So then they got a Meglin Kitty call out, and there was about 200 of us that hit the first interview and did a voice test. And then it narrowed down to a dozen or so, and then it narrowed down to just 2. And one of them was Sam McKim, the Imagineer.
Yeah, the great Disney artist.
Yes.
You know that map of Disneyland that we all got when we were kids? Sam McKim did that map.
Well, Sam was number 2 on the list.
Really?
He and I tested together, not simultaneously, but the same day.
Yeah.
I got the job of Pinocchio, and he got a job that lasted for 40 years.
It's not fair somehow.
Then I got a call, or my mother got a call for us to come out to have lunch with Walt Disney at the Hyperion Studio. And that's where he asked me the famous question, would you like to do the voice of Pinocchio? And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what the heck do you think I'm here for? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said, oh boy, yeah, I really want to do that, you know. I was acting. No, he was very nice about that. And then from then on, it was all work. No, I don't think I could have done it by myself.
Right.
We worked together and worked off of each other.
So you had Cliff Edwards in the room with you and some
I
of the
had
other
him
ones.
across the mic from me.
Oh, exciting.
He had his script in his hand, I had mine in my hand, and we're looking at each other nose to nose. And
wow.
They were running a camera on all of the actors, particularly me, all the time that I was doing script, because they got a little bitty camera, and all it would do would photograph my nose, my lips, and my chin, because that's where all the motion is in your voice.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And that got a little lost that word.
Yeah. Well,
Discerning.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, your mouth, the study of your face. We know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was difficult for me to concentrate on what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because that camera going right in front of me.
It must be a little annoying, a little distracting.
At the time, it was just a job. And it was a fun job because I worked with some of the greatest actors that ever were. Then we worked with each other. Today, you go in to do a voiceover and you're in this broadcast booth all by yourself, and you see up on the screen what you're supposed to do, and then you do it to match that story. But this way, we were working together. Like Walter Catlett was Honest John, Christian Rube was Geppetto. I'm naming classic actors from that era.
Yeah.
And Evelyn Venable was the Blue Fairy. And just a week before we started doing Pinocchio, she and I were doing a Hop-Along Cassidy together. She was a schoolmarm and I was a bratty kid. But that's the way show business is, I guess.
At 15, Jones took over the role of Henry Aldrich on the hit radio show The Aldrich Family. Meanwhile, he learned carpentry and augmented his acting income with jobs in the carpentry field. In 1944, he was drafted into World War II. By the time he was finished training, the war was over. Naturally, after he got discharged, he returned to acting.
Until I got hooked up with Gene Autry, it was hodgepodge of this and then a mixed up of this, and I worked all the different studios. I liked working at Warner Brothers best. My favorite director was Michael Curtiz. Yeah, he was a fun guy. He directed me in my first Wild West stunt when I got shot and jerked. I mean, the horses got spooked and I got jerked out of the wagon, and they ran the wagon over me, and I got killed in Virginia City. But they put a log down there. So it was inconspicuous, and they says, now when you fall, you go in here, you land here, go over the horse's rump, and it land here. And the minute that wagon goes forward and it raises up on that log, these men are going to pull you out from under the wagon.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It worked, but they missed me. They didn't pull me out, so I just laid still and let the wagon go on.
Jones' career went on like this until one fateful day when Gene Autry reached out.
Well, according to publicity, I don't remember really, but I was just fresh out of the service and trying to support this sexy brunette wife I've got, and I was doing carpentry work and working at gas stations and stuff like that, and all of a sudden somebody says, Gene Autry's looking for you. I said, oh, who's Gene Autry? Honest, I never heard of the guy before. So I said, okay, and set up a meeting, and I went into Autry's office, and he says, I'm going to do a movie called Strawberry Roan, and you're the only one I will let ride my horse. I said, now this is what publicity says.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay, fine, I can do that. So I got hired then and there, and we started working out at Andy Aregi's ranch, which they call Melody Ranch then. No, my daughter was not named after Gene Autry's ranch. And then we went to Sedona, and then when I came back from Sedona, that was the end of my job, and I rode Gene Autry's horse for him, and I guess they liked it or something. But anyway, I went on about my business, and I landed a good job at Warner Brothers, Rocky Mountain. And that, after all the stuff I've done, that was my very favorite movie.
And then Autry made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
I came back from doing this picture, Rocky Mountain. We were 10 or 13 weeks, something like that, down in Gallup, New Mexico. And there wasn't an indoor scene for the whole picture. So I came back, and I was pretty weather beaten. And I hear that Gene Autry's looking for you. And I said, now what did I do? So I set up an appointment and go in and see him in his office. And he says, I've got this TV series that we're going to do, and I got this great big, long, lean, lanky guy that's an ex-stuntman. And we need a partner for him. And we're thinking of like maybe like a teenage Gabby Hayes. And at that time, I was the oldest teenager in Hollywood. So I says, well, I'd like to try that. And he says, fine. So we started work October the 1st, 1950. Never met Jocko before, never met him afterwards. And he says, look, kid, we're going to do all of our own stuff in this thing, and we're going to do it as wild as we could possibly do it, and we're going to do stuff that's never been done on TV. And I said, sounds fine. So the first crack out of the box, we do a couple of words. Jock swings up on his horse, and he's gone. And I go step up on mine, and I go chasing after him. And I never got the word cut. I come back, and the director's shaking his head like this. He says, I've got to do this again, you know. And that hurts their budget. So,
Oh, yeah.
Got to do it again. But the cameraman came over and said, hey, kid, come here. And I says, yeah, what's up? He says, what's the name of this show? I says, Range Rider. He says, are you the Range Rider? And I said, no. He says, well, then let me show you something. See this? This is my viewfinder on the camera. Now, I have to keep the star of this thing in this viewfinder here. And unless you get in his hip pocket, you're not going to be in the show. So I said, okay. Word to the wise, and I'm pretty wise about this time. And I say, I'll do that. So when Jocko starts to swing up on his horse, I'm on my horse, and I'm leading the way. So.
Wake up.
What's the matter?
There's gunshots over by the road.
Henry C. Park writes in their blog, Henry's Western Roundup, there were several other kid or family-aimed action western series at the time. The Gene Autry Show, The Roy Rogers Show, The Lone Ranger, Hopalong Cassidy, Cisco Kid, and Rin Tin Tin, to name some of the best. But what set Range Rider apart was the action. In addition to being likable personalities and competent actors, Mahoney and Jones were both spectacular athletes, horsemen, and stuntmen. The stars of many of the other shows were starting to show their years, requiring a lot of makeup and the constant use of stunt doubles. But when other shows' cameras would pull back to a long shot, the Ranger Riders could move in for close-ups, as Jock and Dick rode, brawled, tumbled, crashed through windows, and generally destroyed the sets, gleefully producing the kind of choreographed mayhem that made life worth living to kids watching at home.
Politics finished off the Range Rider after 78, 79 shows. And Jock went one way, and the Range Rider went into syndication. And I was still under contract. And Gene says, well, I can't have you sitting around here just using my money up. I said, why not? And he says, how about doing this? So he read me the idea, and I wasn't really too excited about it, because if I'm going to be the number one, if I'm going to be the
lead.
I didn't want to say that. But if I'm going to be, I'm going to be taking all the brunt. And I didn't like that. I liked being a second fiddle and having fun. But they cast the little girl as my sister, and Harry Cheshire is the judge, and two of them filled the thing out, and it was good. And they turned me loose and said, do what you can do. And so if I couldn't do it, I'd figure out how to do it, and then I'd do it. So I made the director just go nuts. He says, how come you get on and off a horse either way? And I said, well, you'll notice I always get off the horse the side the camera's on. Oh. He said, well, how come you get on all different sizes? Well, you notice I always get on the side that the camera's on. And he couldn't figure that one out, but that's the way I did it.
After Buffalo Bill Jr., Jones went on to guest star on other television shows, including Gunsmoke, Annie Oakley, and The Lone Ranger. In all, Dick worked on nearly 100 films and more than 200 television episodes. By 1959, he retired from show business and began a new career in real estate. In 1992, Dick founded his own agency, White Hat Realty. In 2000, Jones was named a Disney legend, and in 2009 he did a number of interviews promoting the platinum DVD release of Pinocchio. Jones died in 1914 in his Northridge, California home. Dick Jones was a fascinating performer, one of very few that could not only act but also do their own stunts. It's so interesting how much he loved the outdoors and how much he loved performing stunts. It really proves that one can be a genius in a physical sense. If you liked this episode, check out this one about the voice of Bambi. Or if you want to learn more about Pinocchio, you can check out this one about Milk Hall. Thank you for watching. Bye!